All right, UFC Vegas 16 predictions. Starting, it's pretty much going to be all the fights that I'm interested in that I want to make a prediction for. I'm just going to do them all in one video. Um, I'm starting with Smolka versus Quinones. Luis Smolka versus Jose Quinones. I've got Smolka because I didn't realize that they're about the same size, even though the only separating factor for them in my head was that one fought 10 pounds lighter for a long time, to my knowledge, and then moved up. And then, oh, they're about the same size person. Then the skills of Smolka, you know, his grappling's his best bet, and he's a and he's really good in the scrambles. I think this is a competitive fight. If there is a finish, I could see a submission finish in round three, but I think it goes the distance. Now off to the main card. The opener for the main card is Nate Landwehr, Movsar Ivolov. I hope I said his name right. This one's interesting to me. Ivolov and Landwehr, they both fought in M1. You know, they both come from M1. And I didn't think to look up, or I didn't make time to look up any tape, like to see if they ever fought. Like I've seen tape on each guys, but I haven't bothered to look and see if they've actually fought each other. Which is probably a mistake, or it just didn't happen. Anyway, but I know Landwehr's skill set, or at least back then, was like, oh, oftentimes he fought guys that were just more skilled than him, and he would just, he would continue the pressure, take shots, try to keep a tight guard, but get clipped. He would look for the counters if they were obvious, but he would just make guys work. He would just make them work until they got tired, and then he would put them away. So his biggest weapon against guys that might be more skilled has always been his pace. And that's one thing he didn't need for the Darren Elkins fight, because he was fighting a guy who does the same thing. So he just needed to be more skilled, and that's what he was. He was more skilled. But Ivolov is the more skilled opponent. He's the more skilled fighter in this fight. Question is, will his skills be enough to finish the fight before Nate brings it? Actually, this fight favors Ivolov a lot because it's a 3-rounder. Like, if it was a 5-rounder or something like that, it would favor Landwehr to do what he did back in M1. Shoot. It's hard for me to pick against Landwehr because he could really make it a super action-paced fight in the first 2 rounds. And then Ivolov might start to fade at the end of round 2. And then round 3, Evolov's in trouble. But, there's a bunch of ways this can go. I forget that first things first for my predictions are the skills. And so I'm going to go with Ivolov, and I think it goes the distance. I think he gets pushed by Landwehr a lot, but I think he survives in there. And since it's only 3 rounds, it's not going to be too much of him. If it's not submission, it goes the distance. Sounds like I'm making a trend, don't it? Anyway, main and co-main. Starting with the co-main. I didn't know how jacked I was for this fight until I watched highlights of both men. Same thing with the main event. But you got OSP and Jamal Hill. You know, Jamal Hill, I would say, is a more skilled or has more weapons to attack with on the feet. I think he's actually more skilled, but from what I've seen, he gets him and Vittori have this thing. I'll talk about Vittori, but him and Vittori have this tendency to, when they start attacking, they just keep going. It's like for a short instance they see red, and they're just da 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 da. It's like they need to, or maybe the adrenaline of the moment and stuff kicks in, takes over. Maybe that's the case, but definitely they. One thing I'll say it about Vittori as well, but I'm saying it now, is that they need to pace themselves. If they learn to fight calm, be paced, which Vittori's probably not going to learn that, not at King's MMA, but you know, they would be way more skilled. Well, maybe he will, but anyway, with these two, if they paced themselves, they wouldn't be off balance, heads over their knees, while they're coming forward as many times as they are. Well, that doesn't really happen to Vittori, actually. He's just not guarding his face. He's just attacking. Vittori's just attacking, but this isn't about Vittori. This is about OSP, Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill, he's not covering his head, and he's like off balance coming forward or whatever. That's what I saw a lot from the highlights. Against OSP, that is extremely dangerous, even though I think these guys are the same height. So this might be an interesting fight, because OSP usually gets his knockouts against guys shorter than him, shorter reach. Most of them were orthodox, and they would come at him, and he would leave distance, but he would leave distance at an angle, and they would cover that distance, but they'd be unprotected. They'd just thrown a right hand or something, so they're unprotected. And then he throws that long left hook and puts them to sleep. Now this is southpaw matchup, so it might be the. He might have. It just depends. But my prediction for this one, so that I can finish this, so I can go ahead and finish this video, is I got OSP. I think he knocks him out in round 1 or round 2. I think if Jamal Hill has those habits, what's the word I'm looking for? Tendencies. If those tendencies are still there, I think OSP is going to catch him and put him to sleep. Because OSP, people forget about how powerful, how dangerous getting hit by him is. Anyway, main event: Jack Hermanson, Marvin Vittori. I don't know why I said Martin, but Marvin Vittori. I didn't know he was ranked number 13 in the middleweight division, first of all. And watching highlights of Vittori, dude is really good, particularly with striking. Like I said earlier, if he calmed down, if he learned how to fight, be patient, calm down, the way that he is now, he can pretty much see everything that you throw at him. Like when he was fighting Adesanya, he saw almost everything that Adesanya was throwing. Like some fakes allowed shots to get through from Adesanya, but it's like neither one of them beat each other up in that fight. The pressure of Vittori made it a competitive fight. Well, competitive. I wouldn't. Nah, competitive is the wrong word. Competitive is the wrong word. But it made it to where it just looked like Adesanya was just trying to outpoint, even though he was, it's a fight. People are trying to win fighters are trying to win fights. He just couldn't land as often as he could on any other MMA fighter who's not particularly a particularly good striker or whatever. Not throwing any shots at Adesanya. I'm just making a point. Vittori's actually very good. If he calmed down, I could see him. He could be a top 5 guy. Like if he was patient with his striking, picked his shots, he would be a top 5 guy. What he's shown now, I could see him being in the top 10. I could see him being inside the top 10 with what he's shown now. And the problem is, like, Jack Hermanson can strike with him. He might not land anything much. Well, he might be able to because of the takedown threat. That's the whole thing. He's going to make Vettori work harder than... Vittori's going to be the one working the hardest in that fight. Hermanson's going to be coming forward the whole time, trying to cut him off, throwing strikes just to put Vettori in a false sense of security, to not make. It also allows him not to be able to time the takedowns, see and time the takedowns. He's gonna keep him behind the black line in the fence, and once he shoots, I think it's very likely Hermanson submits Vettori. Because Hermanson is so good. He's really good on the ground. He's a killer on the ground. So I'm gonna go with Hermanson's, I'll say, second round submission. I really think he can submit Vettori. Those are my predictions on this fight card. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm gonna watch MMA news because I know something exciting's gone on there. So until next time, we'll see you.